Hey everyone, I'm Rob and welcome to the test drive. Before we get into the topic of today's video, I just wanted to remind everybody that I have a GoPro Hero Session giveaway going on my other channel called A Wander Affair. It's a channel that I have with my wife, and all you have to do is go to that channel and subscribe to it, as well as comment on the giveaway video. So I'm gonna link everything above in the cards and below in the description. We're gonna give that away as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, which is gonna be very soon. Now, if you've watched my last couple of videos, you probably know that I recently purchased this 2019 BMW 440i X-Drive Coupe. This is an awesome car. I was able to get it in a manual, which is very rare and obviously becoming extremely difficult to find manual transmission cars brand new anymore in 2019. But one of the reasons that I purchased this car was because I wanted to get into track driving, and this car is kind of the perfect daily driver for me that I can also take to the track and have a lot of fun with, especially living in the Northeast. Having all-wheel drive was very important to me, and track driving is something that I've always been very interested in. Last summer I had the opportunity to drive my 2006 Z4 around the track a couple of times at Watkins Glen in New York, and that was a lot of fun. So I want to get more into that, and this car is kind of the perfect car for me to get me into track driving. But one of the concerns with expensive cars in general is rock chips, and it's preserving the life of the paint when you're doing things that could potentially cause harm to the exterior of your car. So one of the things I knew I was going to have to do to this car before I ever even thought about taking it on the track was going to be to get a paint protective film, or PPF, put onto this car. And there are a couple different ways you can go about it. There are some common misconceptions with it. So what I wanted to do was, as part of the ownership experience of this car, I'm going to document everything and make videos on everything I do to this car. I wanted to make a video on this and show you guys exactly what I did, how much it cost, why I did what I did, and why I did it the way that I did it. One thing that's really important to understand is that ceramic coating is not the same thing as an actual paint protective film, or PPF. So what I did is an actual PPF. It's an 8 mil thick clear film that gets put on your car, and the specific one that I have, which is a 3M product, is rated to basically absorb up to a 1-inch stone at speeds up to 140 miles an hour. So perfect for the track, whereas ceramic coating is like more aesthetic. It can help preserve the life of your paint. It can prevent scratches, but it's not really like a protective barrier the way that PPF is. 3M also warranties this product for 10 years against bubbling, cracking, yellowing, you name it. Anything other than you actually causing damage to it, they do warranty it for 10 years. So that's really awesome as well, because it's something that really is meant to last. So the first step, in my opinion, is to find a reputable shop that is gonna do a very good job, because the quality of the work definitely comes into play. The experience level definitely comes into play as well. So for me, I ended up choosing Buffalo Car Care because I live in the Buffalo, New York area, and this is not like a sponsored video or anything. There's no YouTube discount. I did pay for this just like anybody else would. But I mention that because Western New York isn't necessarily like a mecca for high-end cars, certainly not like Ferraris or Lamborghinis or cars like that. You don't see those on the road as frequently here as you would in places like LA, for example. So the fact that they've done so many high-end cars like that, cars that are way more expensive than my car, says a lot. I mean, even when mine was in to get the PPF applied, I was parked right next to a Ferrari 812 Superfast, and it just speaks to the type of clients. If you look at like their Instagram, for example, there are always really, really expensive cars there, and the 812 Superfast that was next to me was basically getting the same thing that I got. So finding a shop like that, I think, is really important. Then step 2 is to determine how much of your car you actually want PPF applied to, because as you might imagine, it's really expensive. So putting a protective film over your entire car is going to be the most expensive way you can go about it, and might not be entirely necessary. So for me, I didn't get the entire car paint protected because that would have been over $7,000. So I ended up doing a protective film on just the full front of the car. So the entire front bumper, the entire hood, the mirrors, basically anything on the front of the car that could potentially get hit with a rock or stone chip or any type of debris. And that cost me right around $2,000. And obviously the more surface area you need protected, the more expensive it's gonna be. It's one of those products that is kind of priced out by the square foot. And then also, depending on how complicated your car is, there might be more labor involved, so that could potentially weigh into the cost as well. Something else that was important to me was making sure that you can't see the edges of the protective film. So there's some areas in which it's kind of inevitable. You're not gonna be able to hide it completely, but a really good installer is going to be able to hide it for the most part. And it is more work, and there might be more lazy installers that might not want to hide it and maybe would just prefer to kind of slap it on and you can see all the edges and everything. But the guys that did mine were really able to conceal the majority of it. Unless you're really looking for it, you can't tell that this car was clear wrapped at all, which is awesome. So getting the PPF put on my car was actually a really simple process. I brought it in first thing in the morning on day 1, and basically they washed the entire car, made sure it was fully clean. Obviously it has to be clean before they can apply the clear bra, and then they applied it all in that first day, and it basically sat and dried the rest of the time. So I picked it up at the end of the following day. So I was without my car for like maybe 36 hours. After the PPF is applied, there may be some bubbles that remain for a little bit, but all of that should go away once the film basically fully dries and adheres to the car and everything. So I think all the bubbles are gone on my car. There were only a couple after the work was completed, and basically 3M says that you shouldn't pressure wash your car for a week after the work is done. Buffalo Car Care told me 2 weeks, so I definitely will not be doing any type of pressure washing for at least 2 weeks. I'm probably gonna go like the entire month of July, I think. So for the next couple of weeks, if I do end up washing this car, which I haven't been driving it a lot, I'm just gonna hand wash it. course, as I'm filming this, an awesome M5 rolls up next to me. I freaking love the new M5. It is such a sick car. Hopefully I'll get to drive one soon because I haven't yet. The only other modification that I've done to my 440i so far was actually hardwiring my radar detector to the back of my mirror. I didn't make a video on that because there's so many videos on that out there. First time I did this in my Fusion, I watched a video by Vortex Radar. I actually had to use a multimeter to figure out exactly where to wire it into, but with this BMW, so many people have done this that there are instructions all over the forums, and other than actually getting access to it, because it's like such a small area to try and like, I was literally working with 2 fingers like this, trying to actually plug everything in. But other than that, it was extremely simple. So I didn't make a video of it, but I will be making so many more videos of all the mods that I'm doing to this car because it's just beginning, and I am so excited for what we're gonna turn this car into and all the fun that we're gonna have with it. So if you've made it this far into the video and you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure that you do so. I really appreciate it. It does help support the channel, and it will also make sure that you don't miss out on any awesome upcoming content, because we're doing so much more to this car, and I have so many more awesome reviews in the works. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye-bye.
All I want is all I want is